Mr. Arrington is recognized for 5 minutes.
Chairman, thank you, and it's an honor to serve on this committee with my colleagues, and I'm trying to get my voice here. My hot tea didn't help. Ranking Member Stiles, thank you. And for the witnesses, thank you for your insights. You know, this is my first hearing, and I think sort of philosophically on the title of this select committee, Economic Disparity and Fairness. To me, economic disparity is a reality. We all have different socioeconomic stations in life that we occupy. I think the question or the subject would be better targeted if we talked about economic opportunity. Fairness is subjective. Ask the 20% of Americans who are the highest income earners who pay 80% of the freight in terms of the cost of our government, if that's fair. After the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, you had the bottom 1% having a higher wage increase by 2 times than the top 1%. Is that fair? The bottom 50% had 3 times the wage increase percentage as the top 10% of income earners. So fairness is too subjective for me, Mr. Chairman. I know that's the title, and I doubt I can convince you to change it, but I would like to focus on economic opportunity and economic mobility and prosperity for all Americans. All Americans. To me, that's a laudable goal, and that's one I can agree with no matter what your political persuasion is, what part of the country you come from. So now, with respect to the topic at hand, I like the story about Milton Friedman, who was in China and came upon some workers doing manual labor with shovels instead of heavy construction equipment. And when he asked them why this was the case, he was told it was to maintain high employment. To which he responded, then instead of shovels, why don't you give them spoons and create even more jobs? Now, I haven't heard anybody suggest that we not transition and that there's not a natural sort of evolution, if you will, with innovation. The question is, and this is my sort of framework, how do we anticipate best these trends and changes that will disrupt industries in our economy? Number one. Number two, how do we best adapt? How do we offer that opportunity for skills training and education in a way that prepares the future workforce based on the needs? And then lastly, accommodation. So how do we accommodate this shift? I would suggest to you that freer markets and fairer trade is the most effective and powerful force for creating those opportunities to accommodate in these in the trials and tribulations for those who are having the most difficult job making that transition. We want more jobs. We want higher wages. And when you reduce, and I heard the chairman's comments, I appreciate what he's saying. I agree, government provides civil order, public safety, rule of law. We don't have that. You can't create jobs and make a living and have any quality of life in this country. It'd be chaos. By the way, there is chaos in parts of our country, especially in my state of Texas along the border. But nevertheless, government has a role. But too much government, as Reagan said, we can't be for big government, big taxes, big bureaucracy, and still be for the little guy. Because even in the tax proposals that are being hashed out by my Democrat colleagues, even the most progressive tax policy experts say that the majority of that will be borne by working families. Higher cost of goods, lower wages. It'll be less innovation, less productivity, less competitiveness for our country. So more jobs go back overseas. So, this is a diatribe from my first hearing, but I would just suggest that we need to, the best thing we can do in these transitions is to offer more opportunity, mobility, and a chance for a better quality of life for all Americans, which I think is freer markets and fair trade. Mr. Chairman, thanks for that indulgence. I yield back.